Okay, this is just a short video on how the Bible uses what seems to be boring stuff to tell you some of the most important stuff. Boy, I don't even know how to begin this. I'm in a real state of shock. As you can see, I'm using the NASB translation here, but you can use anything else. This looks like a really boring passage about how the Levite sons of Aaron and the other Levites got their inheritance for their cities. And it takes a lot of explaining to go through this. You have to understand how the Levites came about, and the reason I got into this some years back was because there's all this debate about whether the Exodus is valid and when it happened and blah, blah, blah. And I dealt with that some years ago, but I ended up having to deal with it again because stupid Harold Camping, who invented all of his numbers in order to cover up his past mistakes, made a bunch of stupid arguments about the sons of Kohath, proving that he didn't give a flip about what the Bible really says, and he invented all this God is a black widow timeline, killing off the fathers in the year that their sons were born. And you'll see in my Why the Rapture video where I did a rebuttal to that in Camping Timeline Gaffes 2 doc, which is a link in the Why the Rapture video description that's on my right now on my the feature video on my channel page in YouTube. Anyway, the point is that when I do something like this, because I'm being critical, okay, I'm just as critical of myself as I am of somebody else. So after I come up with something like this, where I criticize, in this case, a famous teacher, which is not what I like to do, I go back and I say, okay, did I really do it right? Did I do my homework enough? It's not fair to be critical of somebody else, especially if I screwed up too. So I was investigating what I wrote. And while doing that, I had written that, this thing here is based on a curse that's right here in Genesis 49. Okay, specifically the curse against Levi and Simeon. Okay, so this is the curse that gave rise to the passage you're seeing in front of you at the top window on Joshua. Alright, it's how God cursed Levi and then put Levi back into the inheritance via assigning them cities, because they were to be the priestly tribe, so they have to be dispersed throughout Israel. Well, here's the curse that predicted their dispersal. See, right here. I will disperse them in Jacob and scatter them in Israel. That's here in this lower window. In the upper window in Joshua 21, you're seeing how that was fulfilled. Okay? Now, there's a lot more to it than that. This is a very complicated thread that runs throughout the Old Testament, specifically in Deuteronomy and Numbers, and in Leviticus. But the point I'm trying to make here is, A, this text up here in Joshua 21 is pretty boring, isn't it? Oh, they got 13 cities here, and 10 cities here, and here are the names of the cities, and here are the tribes where they got them, blah, 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 and put you to sleep. Okay, but here, this is the prophecy being fulfilled that this text is explaining. This text that's so boring is explaining Jacob's prophecy back here in Genesis 49. That's the prophecy that Joshua 21 is talking to. Alright, that's now outlined there in blue. The two blue sections tie to each other. In fact, the whole of Joshua 21 is tying to Genesis 49:7. How it got done. Now, I wouldn't have known that if I weren't busy writing about how wrong Harold Camping is. And guess what I just learned like 5 minutes ago? I need to kill myself. Genesis 49 is metered in Hebrew. It's metered. Just like all the other things I've been talking about with the meter. I'm sorry if I'm yelling. I need to kill myself. The whole chapter is a prophecy about the future. See, I will tell yourselves what's going to happen. Okay, it's metered in Hebrew, using the same Hebrew meter that Psalm 90 uses. Well, hello, Jacob lived before Moses. And Moses, I just learned this because of Harold Camping's failure. Moses' meter in Psalm 90 is based on the meter of the days in Genesis 7 and 8. So that precedes everybody. And not only that, but Psalm 90's meter is based on the meter in Genesis 49 here. So guess what Brainout has to do? I got to go back to the drawing board and make sure what I said. I mean, I know it's right, but it's not right enough. And make sure what I said about the meter takes into account the two precedenting meters of Genesis 7 and 8, which are in days. The text itself, as far as I know, I got to go back and look at it. I don't think the text is metered, but the days are. The days are the basis for Moses' meter in Psalm 90. But also, I could kill myself. The meter is in Genesis 49. The whole chapter is metered, or nearly all of it. I have to figure it out now. What is the meter in Genesis 49, which of course is a prophecy, and therefore is metered? And to see how Moses plays off both Genesis 7 and 8, and plays off Genesis 49, because that's what he's doing. And honey, that's going to take me a good year. So if you don't hear much from me between now and the next time I make a video, that's why. And I got a lot of work to do, and God just keeps rolling this stuff out based on other people's arguments. I discovered the thing about Paul metering his Greek in Ephesians 1, 3 through 14 in his prayer. To Daniel 9's prayer, Paul's using 434 syllables. He's metering exactly to Daniel 9:25, 24 and 25. I discovered that because 1689 Baptists and I got into an argument about what does it mean, the election of Christ. And now I'm learning this based on Harold Camping's failure. God is orchestrating my life to use somebody else's failure or problem or misinterpretation to show me more verses where this Hebrew metering occurs. I need to kill myself, but I can't do that. I got to stay alive. So it's up to God how He's going to keep me alive so I can document this. So if I die, guys, you know something now. I mean, what if I get cattywampus with God and I sin the sin unto death and He has to kill me? Okay, fine. Then you guys know something about this. You can research the meter in Genesis 49 and Genesis 7 and 8 to see how Psalm 90's meter ties back to it. In case I die, you know to do this. That's it. I'm signing off now. I am in such a state of shock I can't breathe.